When you first met him, what did you think? Did you meet him when you knew he was doing music already, or did you meet him before
No,
that?
I met him when he was 12, but then when I was in New York, Prince was 15, and then he called me up and was asking me about publishing, you know? And I told him, I said, well, I'm coming back to Minneapolis, so when I come back to Minneapolis, I'll talk to you about it, because I can't tell you this on the phone. So when I went back to Minneapolis, Chantel's father had a ski group, and he was doing a ski trip. So I had got me some ski gear and stuff. I didn't know how to ski, you know, I'm from Brooklyn, man. Yeah, concrete jungle. I didn't know nothing about no snow and skiing and stuff, you know. So I finally learned how to ski and, you know, just messing around. And after that, there was a ski party, and Grand Central was the band. So this is funny because somebody told Grand Central that a producer was coming into town to check them out.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know it was me, you know. So I get to the party, and Morris's mom, who was the manager, kept looking at me, you know, through the whole party. And I'm going like, why does this woman keep looking at me, man? You know, what's going on? So I went over to her and I said, hi. I said, my name is Pepe. She goes, yeah, you know, I'm LaVon. And I said, hi, LaVon. She says, how do you like the group? And I said, wow. I said, I think the group is really nice. And then I found out, you know, I figured out what was going on. And I said, wow, you know, I would really like to work with this band. You know, Morris Day was playing drums. Prince was playing guitar. Andre was playing bass. And Andre's sister was playing keyboards. And William Dowdy, we call him Hollywood, was playing percussion. So, you know, I told her, I said, yeah, I would love to work with the group. We set up some rehearsal spots at her house up in the attic. And so the first rehearsal, I go up to, you know, to check these guys out. And I told them to play one of their songs for me. And Prince played this song called Sex Machine that he wrote. And it was a great song, but it lasted too long. It was like 10 minutes. I was going like, dude, I said, man, you got to cut these songs down to 3 minutes, 30 seconds and stuff, you know? And I showed them the formula. I gave them the formula. I said, you write your intro, you write your first verse, and then you do the hook, and then you do the second verse, and then you do another hook, and then you do a bridge, and you can vamp out with the hook, you know, and that always allows you to come up with the song at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, or 3 minutes and 30 seconds, somewhere around there. And so they learned that formula. And then Andre did a song called You Remind Me of Me, and nobody was doing the lyrics right. You know, Andre was singing, and everybody else who was supposed to come in with harmonies, they were singing something different. And I was going like, well, wait a minute, you know, what's going on here? I mean, these kids, they were like 16 years old, you know.
I was going to wonder, like, these are kids.
Yeah, they were like 16 years old. These are kids. So there was a blackboard up in the attic, and I told Andre, I said, write the lyrics to your song on the blackboard. So he wrote the lyrics down, and everybody going like, oh, yeah, now that's what you were saying. Oh, okay, you know, they didn't even know the song. So we rehearsed more. So now another rehearsal and stuff, I go up there and
okay, let me ask you a quick question. Did you I don't want to say this the wrong way. Did you take them serious? Like, did you think that this would be some? Okay.
Oh yeah. I did. I you know, but they had to get there, you know. They had to get past me in order to for me to do something with them, you know.
Okay.
And one day at rehearsal, Prince was playing guitar, and then he stopped, and he goes over to Linda, who was playing keyboards, and he says, Linda, he says, this is what I want you to play. And he started doing chords on the piano. And I'm looking at him, and I'm going like, now, wait a minute. This guy plays guitar and keyboards? And I went like, oh, wow. So then he went over to Andre. He said, let me hold your bass. Now, Andre denies this, but you know, and I talked to Andre about it. And Prince took his bass and played, you know, I mean, he was just thumping the bass, you know. And he gave it back to Andre, and then Andre said, okay, I know what you want. And then, you know, and I'm going like, well, wait a minute. This guy plays guitar, he plays bass and keyboards, you know. So after the rehearsal, I go, have you been in a recording studio before? To Prince. And he goes like, no, I haven't. And I was in the studio at that time. I was in Cookhouse Recording Studios, you know, recording some of my stuff, and it was just me and the guitar. And I says, well, and I just put this band together with Wendell Thomas, the bass player. And I want to book time in the studio to do these songs, these 5 songs. And he says, no, I haven't been in the studio before. And I says, good. I said, well, you're coming with me. And not only when I was rehearsing with Grand Central did we just do music. You know, we put the instruments down a few times and stuff, and I talked to them about business of music. You know, how you make money in the studio, you know, as studio musicians. You know, when your record is played on the radio, that you're getting paid every time because that's your work, you know, and you get paid, you know, and you have to belong to performance rights organizations such as ASCAP or BMI, you know, as a songwriter and a publisher. So I gave Prince a tape of the 5 songs that we were doing. I was just playing guitar. And he learned, I said, learn some parts. And the bass player learned his parts. Keyboard player learned his part. And the drummer learned his part. Now, I was just talking to Wendell last night. And he was saying that, Pepe, he said, I know that Prince hadn't been in the studio. You took him in for the very first time. He says, but do you know that that was my first time in the studio, and that was Pierre's first time in the studio, and his brother Dale, that was his first time in the studio.
Wow.
You know, and I said, what? I said, I didn't even know that, you know. And, you know, and during this time, I was hanging out with Cynthia Johnson, you know, and I dated her for a little while and stuff, you know. And Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they had this bus, a Flight Time, you know, old school bus, and they called it Flight Time. So I used to see these guys like all the time. And my thing was, the only way you're going to make it is that you have to go into a recording studio and record. That's the only way you're going to get professional music done, you know. And so after I was in the studio, and then everybody else started going to the studio. Prince learned a lot, you know, by going into the studio with me. And the next day, matter of fact, he had called me up and said that he made an error in his guitar playing and he wanted to fix it. I was going golfing. So, and I called the studio up and I said, well, let Prince in the studio. He wants to change something. I don't know what it was because all the stuff that I heard that he played was awesome. You know, it was just fantastic. So I went golfing. He went to the studio. He changed what he had to change and stuff. And to me, it was just the same as he did before. You know, maybe he just didn't like it, you know, but, you know.